All right, 4.1 chat field for finding zeros and multiplicity. Now, we need to discuss again what is the difference between a zero, a factor, and, I see my mind just blank, a zero, a factor, and an intercept. These are factors. They're in their factored format. If I pull each one of these out, set equal to 0, and solve, that is a 0. If I put it as an ordered pair, this is an intercept. It can also be considered sometimes as a 0. Typically, this is what we're talking about. Okay? Now, this is in its factored format. This is how we go to find our zeros. We take each one, pull it out, set equal to 0. That's the reason why we call them zeros. This is definitely an intercept. But multiplicities. Multiplicities is these guys. They're also powers. But what it means is that this factor happens more than once. So it has a multiplicity. This factor happens twice. So it has a multiplicity of 2. This factor happens 3 times. So it has a multiplicity of 3. Now these are important because these guys, again, turn out to be zeros. In other words, these are the intercepts on the x-axis of where, when we go to graph, these are important. Again, they're where the graph crosses the x-intercept, or the x-axis, sorry. But do they always cross? The answer is no. And how do we know when they don't cross? That's where the multiplicity comes in. So when we take a function, we break it down into its factored format, and then we look for multiplicities. If multiplicity is even, we say the graph touches or kisses the axis. In other words, here's our quick little thing. If we have an even multiplicity, the graph comes down, touches, and bounces back. It does not cross the axis. And yes, that's Pepper and Gizmo in the background barking and carry on because it's storming outside. Does not cross. The graph does not cross. It just touches. That is what happens when you have even multiplicity. If multiplicity is odd, like this one, then the graph crosses. That's when this happens. It crosses. Okay? So that's the reason why when we get in our factored format, we want to be able to identify, factor it down, identify our zeros, identify our multiplicity. Okay? So let's look at that next handout I gave you. Because the next handout, it's all factored for you. So we'll go through and find the zeros. Well, again, how did we find the zeros? We take each parenthesis, pull it out, set equal to 0. So I go 2x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1, add 1. So I get 2x equals 1. Divide by 2. So I get x equals 1/2. Now, there's no power, so it means it has a multiplicity of 1. Here's my first 0. I pull out the next one. X minus 5 equals 0. Add 5. So x equals 5. No power, that means the power is 1. So I have a multiplicity of 1. Now, multiplicity is odd on both of these. So that means the graph touches and touches. Okay? Let's look at number 3. I'm going to do it for each one of these. So I have 2x plus 1 equals 0. I have x plus 1 equals 0. And I have x minus 1 equals 0. Well, again, subtract 1, subtract 1. So I get 2x equals negative 1. Divide by 2. X equals negative 1/2. Multiplicity is 3, which is odd, so the graph crosses. You know what, guys? I am so sorry. I just realized previously I called it odd and said touches. My bad. Those are crosses. That is my faux pas. Odd, crosses, even, touches. All right, same one here. Solve for the next 0. Subtract 1. So x equals negative 1. This has a even power of 2. This is the one that touches. So in other words, at negative 1, this graph is going to come down and touch and go right back. Right? This is a touch because we have a multiplicity of 2. All right. Last one. Add 1. So x equals 1. The power is a multiplicity of 1, which is odd. So we cross. Again, I'm sorry, guys. I can't believe I said that backwards on that first example. Okay? How are we feeling? Quick look. This one, power is odd, we cross. Power is even, we touch. Power is 1, we cross. Power is odd, we cross. That's how quick and easy we can get an idea of what a graph looks like. Okay? Again, you can finish working these. You also have some homework on it. If you have questions, feel free, give me a shout. But that is factors, zeros, multiplicity.